one. Hey everybody, Dave Putz here from JKP Holdings. Next out of me, Nathan Turner.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, good Friday afternoon to everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a good day and chiming in and whatnot. So we'll start off with seeing how they're going for the week. I know there's another workshop going on right now that we'll be talking later on, and some good resources out there. Nathan, I know we're talking offline. Some things have happened with you in the recent couple days. What's happening with your business? What's going on?
It was a good year. We're just kind of, we're expanding and we're getting a little bit bigger. We're putting together a fund. I can talk about a little bit more because we're going to go with the 506C, which allows us to advertise. So that's great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Has anything recent this week happened? I know that you're getting some, you're getting some things returned to you and so like that. We're making fun of the fact that sometimes we record things that take a little longer than expected. So I know that it's weird to record things and then we don't count on it being returned in 3 days, right? It takes sometimes months.
I had a funny one yesterday. We were talking about that where I had sold the property on seller finance back in August. First payment in September. They've been paying great. We had to kind of delayed paperwork in my mind. We had delayed putting out paperwork because we hadn't finished with the underwriting. There were some extra documents that they had to produce and stuff, and the previous house had a fire, so all their important documents had burned up, and so it was getting stuff from the government. It was just taking forever. We eventually got that, in fact, just last week or 2 weeks ago. So I sent them out the note and mortgage and everything, and deed of trust. It's out in Texas, and so we got it all sent out to them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get that signed next week and get that out for you. I actually had it on my calendar to check it with them today to make sure they're on it. And then just yesterday I got it in the mail. I had sent them the paperwork back in August, the note and the deed of trust, and so that has been signed, and I got it from the county where it has already been recorded. So, so my job's already done for me. I already did my own job. I got it taken care of.
It's crazy. I mean, glad to see it, being done. I know we've had recordings take months and months and months, and sometimes it's one of the things that, you have to follow up on it, but it's not on the priority list of things to follow up on. It's like, listen, as long as it gets recorded, I don't care when it gets recorded. So
I put it on my calendar to check in, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the case may be, and just kind of check in. I just did on one today. I have the electronic copy, but I don't have the physical copy, and they're saying yes, it's coming. Okay, let's just be sure.
Yep.
I still need that too.
For us, we're just dealing with some BK stuff still on a couple of cases. We did have some issues with some borrowers asking for some, push offs and with that. And some deals we are, right? We have a couple of deals we are actually allowing some kind of delay and some stuff for the fact that they've been paying in the past. This is a freak situation and whatnot. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We know that money came out recently. And we hope that things kind of return over. Some states are turning over faster than others. Yeah. I wanted to, before we jump into here, I want to make sure that people know that are tuning in. We actually have, I know I've seen some posts about statute of limitations. We started a kind of a spreadsheet, and I don't have the time and my team doesn't have the time, but it's a great project for those who want to learn, of a statute of limitations spreadsheet to kind of chart, to kind of go off of and kind of learn about statute of limitations. Because it's not particularly on, last payment received. It's not hard from that. In some states, it depends on what it is. Sometimes maturity, sometimes it's when it originated. So a nice project for those who are interested in getting into. Take a look at it. Let me know, or let my trade desk know that you're looking to get into that project and kind of help us fill the whole sheet out. Be great for everybody.
And like you say, it really does depend on the state. I've had it where actually the statute of limitations had passed, but that only meant that I couldn't collect anything past whatever it was, 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not a dead deal. It's not a dead loan. It just means that I lost out on a portion of the interest where they had stopped paying
Some
more.
states allow you to do that, right?
Yeah.
Some states don't. And that's
Yeah.
the problem with it all, is that some states allow you to backdate stuff, and some states don't. I'm just trying to bring up the sheet now for those who are interested in doing it, can actually get into it. So statute of limitations, it depends on what the state has and what the rules are on it. So some states have the rules where it's based on when the collateral was last payment received. Maybe it was when legal was filed and things like that.
It could even be an actual communication with the borrower. It could be something
Yes.
as simple as that. So it really depends on where it is and the situation for that
Have
state.
you been, what if, can you give an example of a statute of limitations you've run into?
Yeah, one that we had, I'm pretty sure it was Texas. I remember 4 years. So they hadn't paid for something like 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not positive on the state, so if I'm wrong on the state, don't shoot me. But it just meant that I couldn't collect 2 of the 6 years. I could collect
Yes.
up to what the statute of limitations was, and in my case that was fine. It was way underwater. There was no equity anyway, so
Gotcha.
those extra 2 years really didn't make a difference to our overall strategy on that. So that worked out just fine.
So as you can see here, did that work? I thought I was. Hopefully you can see it. You see the chart?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is simple. Like, California has different rules. Colorado depends on maturity date, acceleration date, and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
There's some states like Florida who allow you to advance the due date. So if you're beyond the time, you can advance it to make it so they're no longer such, and you're forgiving their arrears.
Right.
So it's a pretty cool idea to take a look at, and if you can get into it, it'd be awesome. So if you're interested in kind of helping with that project, reach out, let me know. We also wanted to share with you guys, let me bring that share back up. I apologize. If you're ever interested in getting agents, we have over 9,000 in our directory. You have to go through our portal, at JKB Holdings, and you can pull in agents across the country. So there's like 9,000. I was showing Nathan yesterday that we have their names, their email address, phone numbers, and ability to mass email through it. So feel free to take a look at that if you're looking for an agent who's local, which is going to tune into this topic we're talking about today. The other one I saw a post about question was regarding fee schedules, servicer fee schedules. So inside of our website under resources, we actually have a fee schedule for you to look at. You don't have to do anything with it. This whole chart in our website you can look at, but for servicers, you can go into this Google Sheet and actually see basically by servicer who it is, like Allied and HP. And we try collecting all their fee schedules, but also the states they're licensed to collect debt in based on NMLS. So even though they may say they collect it, we only mark the states that are legally able to collect in. So if you haven't seen us, take a look at it, let us know. But you just click on any one of these things and you go right to the link for them. There's tabs them below. So
all that, of course, is subject to change if they've updated their policy, blah, blah, blah. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and a lot of times we email them. Sometimes we're able to get from their website, but at least you guys can go to it and see Madison's site and all that stuff. And this is the fee schedule they have. Kevin, if you're listening, sorry about this, but we have it all listened up, right? So this helps you figure out, am I in the state that's being covered? Okay, so just take note of that. So, but if you ever need additional resources and things like that, just feel free to jump in here. So let's jump into our topic today. So what we're discussing today is, it's hard to, Rob, I don't know if you see that the post on Facebook, man, but Rob Houth said it, they're burned in Florida for 5 years past maturity. on a secured lien. The court sided with the borrower and wiped them out.
Oof.
Ouch.
Oof.
Sorry to hear, Rob.
That- when you're talking California,
Florida, but yeah,
oh,
it
okay,
was
okay.
Florida. Yeah. But Rob, I mean, that's crazy to hear that, man. I shouldn't apologize, but that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
I know that we've pushed maturity date on a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
Maybe there's more details to it, Rob. I don't know, my man.
We were able to advance it. If you, for example, I've got another one right now where it's actually past the maturity date. It's a little bit wonky because maturity date shows as actually next year, but the original maturity date has already passed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually in the process of trying to find the mod to prove that it's actually
Wow.
the maturity date. And we've actually been able to locate it. Actually, Aaron, our buddy
Cool,
Aaron
yeah.
Quinn, she's on the case and she was making it happen. So she
Aaron, if
tracked-
you're listening, I hope you feel better, girlie. I know you're dealing with some COVID
Yes.
fun stuff, but
No fun.
that's awesome. So, interesting enough, I think this topic is interesting for a lot of people. Is using agents and how to find local values. Now, you and I spent over an hour on the phone yesterday talking about valuations and things like that. That's an internal ability to do. But when
Yeah.
we're trying to find that, once the seller says, yes, I agree with the price, and we want to hard code or counters it, we want to hard code what our value is.
Yeah.
We have a little different process, but the end way we do it, the second part of it is very similar. So share with everyone what's your first step when you get a value, you want to get a value?
So before I even set a bid, let's back up even a step more. So you get a tape. Sometimes the tape will have a value on there. And that's great. That's a nice benchmark. That's a nice starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But by no means is that to be taken literally. that's a nice suggested valuation. And not that I don't trust, but I don't know how they came up with their valuation. Like if they're just pulling Zillow's estimates, then we're not even talking the same language. So forget about it. So it's a nice bench point. Another kind of a clue to the value of the property, a potential clue or clue to a potential value, is what the original balance was. Especially if you're talking about like a contract for deed, oftentimes it's right close to what the value is. So that again, as a benchmark, just to give you a starting point. If maybe they didn't put values on there, but they've got the original balance on there. So I'll give you an idea. So that being said, then I will go through and look at, I prefer Redfin, and I look at sold comps in the area, and meaning not just properties that sold, but I'm looking for same square footage and number of bedrooms, that kind of thing. So a true comp of stuff that's sold in the area. So, and then if it's not on Redfin, I'll go and look at Zillow. They pull from different sources. I don't understand the background behind that, but they have different numbers, which I find kind of odd and interesting at the same time. And then like we were talking about yesterday, what I look at is, okay, so this loan hasn't paid for 2 years. So it's not going to be at the top of the market. It's not going to be the ARV value that, something else sold down the street for $50,000 more. It's not a real good comparison property because they're there, they're taking care of it, they're paying their mortgage, versus mine where they haven't paid. It very well could be vacant and vandalized and this and that. So I'm not looking at the top of the market. I'm not necessarily looking at the very bottom of the market either. So it's really kind of a little bit more of an art than a science, where I'm just looking at it and giving my very best guess at what I think the value is. And this is the free due diligence that I've done. All it cost me is my time, and I'll look at and put a number to it, whatever I think it might be worth.
Very true. I mean, Tim and I do the same thing for years, and just kind of, and to come up with what you go through, the analytics you go through in your head is impossible. If there's a church nearby, school nearby, railroad tracks,
industrial area, highway.
There's so many pillars that you can't make a list of that and analyze it with a computer. It's just not
No,
possible.
no.
And maybe it's a development off a main road where the house in the corner is old and is not as attractive as the one you're looking at.
Yeah.
The value is completely different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do a similar situation. We do pull a bunch of AVMs to kind of analyze it, to do it quick and dirty. If we have the time, we'll do it and dive in like you are.
Mhm.
But once we get to that number, we want to make a bid and stuff like that. And the seller counters. I don't go full force in order BPOs. I know that's something you do. So discuss what you're expecting from the BPO.
I do if I think I'm right.
Okay.
Like, for example, we looked at one yesterday where seller's valuation was 71,000. I had it up around 95 to 100. So I figured, I think I'm right on this one. So in that case, I did go and get a BPO.
Okay.
And it turned out well, and that worked, and I was actually right.
That's awesome.
Case. So that.
But once you take
works.
that information, right, if you want to get more information about that local information from that BPO, I think our next step is very similar, where you use the BPO to get the agent, right?
Yeah.
I use my directory and my resources, and even my local investors who I reach out to reach out to them directly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get a hold of that BPO and you want to ask questions, you're calling that agent to find out, hey, tell me more.
I do, because I figure I'll talk to that agent. I could call somebody else. I can do all that kind of thing. And sometimes I have, depending on the situation, but I'll call that BPO agent just because they were just there. They were just looking at it, within the last couple of days. So I'll call them up and say, okay, so, hey, and I make it clear up front, I'm not here to try to change your mind. I'm not trying to argue what you sent in. If it's drastically different than what I said, or even if it's not, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to understand. And so can you just tell me a little bit about the neighborhood? Are things selling in the neighborhood? I saw you used a comp from a mile away. I'm just curious why you used that one instead of something that was closer. I'm just trying to get more of the story, the stuff that's not on the report.
Yeah.
Are things selling quickly? And again, that's on the report, but only kind of, right? And if I can talk to them and just kind of get a feel of what the story is for the neighborhood.
Yeah, we ask similar questions. I typically ask them, hey, listen, is this a renter's area or ownership area?
Yeah.
Like, what if I have to take this back? Am I renting this house, or what am I doing with it? What are rent numbers going for the area?
Yeah.
I ask them for their personal knowledge of the area. I've had agents talk to me about, hey, you wouldn't believe it. In 1962, there was a barrier here, and you're talking to a guy, and you're like, whoa, if you're on this side of the barrier or that side of the barrier, it's completely different. That Google Maps, Zillow can't ever detect.
Right.
So
it's actually not too far from this place or that place. That's really good, or that's really bad, or whatever. Or they'll go.
They're building a Walmart.
Schools. Yeah.
School. They're building a Walmart. Yeah.
So it's very profitable just to spend 5-10 minutes talking to an agent.
Yeah.
Just to get the rest of the story that's not on the report.
So has there been, I know have you had any situation where agents were surprised you, like, whoa, that was not what I expected?
Oh, for sure. I had, on a somewhat regular basis where I thought it was this, the seller even thought it was that. And then the agent goes and looks and sends back the report. I've had that several times where I thought it was worth whatever it is, $60,000-$70,000, and they come back and they tell me 30 or 40. I'm like, oh, wow, what happened there? And just because I'm like, really? Because I'm not seeing that from what I can see. And again, I'm not trying to prove a point. I'm trying to understand. And she tells me, the doors kicked in and I was able to peek my head in there, and it's just like full of everything and nothing. And it's just awful. So I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for the info.
I've had the same situation, but I've also had where it's like, that house is on the list for just being destroyed. And you're like, wait, what? All that goes out the window because it is crazy.
Yeah.
We've also done the famous thing of calling the electric company, right? And finding out, if electric's on. Now you can't ask that question, but there's ways around it, such as, hey, listen, I'm buying the house from the owner. We want to see what the average rent, average electric bill a month is. And they'll say, well, it's normally $300. Okay, great. Is it, and when, is the power still on? And just making sure the homeowner, and typically they'll say, no, the power's been off for 3 months now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And you get that knowledge. So getting on the phone with some of these agents is key in certain situations.
Yeah.
All agents are different. That's the battle we have, is dealing with an agent that understands that, well, this house isn't listed. How am I supposed to price something that isn't listed for sale? I can't see inside.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? I mean,
you know what? Like you say, not all agents are created equal. So I don't spend a lot of time with ones that are giving me grief right off the bat. Where they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And I don't know about this and that. And I don't even know about this neighborhood. Da, da, da. Okay. Well, thanks so much for your time. I think I'm going to call somebody else. And I've said it, like, I don't think this one's going to work out for us. And we'll go somewhere else. But I find a lot of the times, it's the young, hungry guys that are the ones that are going to, be the commandos out there and peek in windows, and they're not afraid to get out of their car when they go and look at the house.
Yeah. And, we've had it where, I'm sure you have too, where the agent called me up one time and was like, the house is pretty good, but I'm going to tell you about the kitchen. Okay. This is, well, I'm seeing under the cabinets. And you're like, whoa, what do you mean you're seeing under the cabinet? Like, is there like a hole inside the house? Oh, no, I'm inside. And you're like, no, don't. Oh, it's like, well, we had to get inside to see the value. Like, no, don't. You can peek in the windows if you want to. No trespassing.
Yeah.
So that battles with us is that, we want to get the value of the property. We'd love to know interior.
Sure.
Am I going to hate agent for doing that? I'm going to CYA myself, but I'm going to love to know the local information inside.
Yeah, they'll call and be like, oh, so I hope you don't mind. I went and looked inside. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so. I'm not agreeing with it, but I love the fact you did it,
Yeah.
And usually the agent's like, I know I can't. I just, it makes sense to do it. And there was no one there. You're like, okay. And we've gotten to situations where there's a lockbox on the front door and we don't know the code. And I'm not sharing the information publicly. There are very easy ways to get past a lockbox, especially private preservation services. Yeah, I'm not sharing that, guys. There's a very easy way to get through that, but it is, right? One of my earlier deals, we had a situation, there was a 3-letter combo code, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, how'd you do that? It's just what it is. So, interior conditions is difficult. There are agents out there that really are solid, and we love to turn back to them and go back to that agent and buy more of that area because the agent's so good.
Yeah, it's worth it when and exactly that. When you find a good agent, I will literally go back to that city because of that agent. Yeah. And, when I see it come up on a tape, I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, right there. That's so-and-so. Yeah, for sure. Let's do this. And look at it more carefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Because listen, you have a team built there. Yeah. And we have those hot spots where we'll buy something a little bit less than what we can really, our goal target is, for the fact that I can get in and out quickly. I'm solid on my values. I know I can get a sell. I know I can rent it if I need to, and things like that. I've had times where I've called an agent and it wasn't I wasn't careful. It just wasn't what I expected. Okay. Where I talked to his agent, it was an REO agent, and he says, oh my God, I can't believe Bobby Smith's in foreclosure. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my daughter's best friend's parents. And I'm like, oh, and then I had to go in my spiel, like, listen, you can't let them know I'm calling you. You're like, I'm just looking for condition. We end up buying it. And we were able to refund. It was a good reinstatement opportunity. So West Virginia. So
on the other hand, of the many issues with Chicago and Cook County, one of those is I've had not a ton, but half a dozen properties over the years there. I have never had a good agent in Chicago, and it's been a constant struggle. where I'll go through like 2 or 3 on one property. And I have done that in the past. So if anyone's got a good Chicago agent,
Yeah.
let me know, because I've got one right now that I'm going to have to be dealing with sometime soon here.
Let me see if I can tag our friend on this, see if I can get one for you. I would have to look through our list as well.
Yeah.
Chicago's a hit or miss for many reasons. It's just
Yeah.
a very complex city. Baltimore, I've had more success in, even Atlanta. But Chicago is just one city I stay away from for multiple reasons.
All kinds of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can tag him in here.
Every once in a while, the numbers make sense. And I'm like, yeah, no, I could do this. Yeah. Let's, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's weird because when we first got started, you and I think we probably bought in the same city of Columbus, Ohio, and did a lot of deals in there. And we have some good people that I still count on to today for stuff like that. I just wish that Ohio was a little bit more friendly in general.
They make it a little difficult sometimes.
Yeah, there's new laws and new stuff like that. And the time frame of Ohio is just not fun.
Yeah. But again, that being said, again, I've got a great agent that I've used for years. We met him forever ago, 10 years ago. And I would still call Roger out in Columbus.
Just Roger L.
Because he's great. Yeah.
Roger L.
He gets it done. Yeah. So I'll look at Columbus specifically, partially because I know the city quite well as well, but also because I know I got Roger there and he'll make sure the job gets done. Yeah.
And guys, if you're going to find agents, we're not looking for the agent just to give you a value, right? We want to know the aftermath. If I have to take this property back, do you have contractors? Do you have locksmiths, trash outs? Because I'm going to call you and then I'm going to call you a week later, hopefully have everything done and ready to go. And I get a bill sent to me. I don't want a nickel and dime. You're going to be a local person. Some agents are willing to take the electric on their name. It depends on the agent.
Yeah.
So you're not only, when you get a hold of an agent for the new time, how do you sell them on the fact that, they're giving you information for free? You pay for the BPO, they may need $30 on it.
Right.
Is there a way you can convince them to give you information without quote unquote paying for it sometimes? I'm sure we've both paid for it, but.
Yeah, I'm pretty upfront. I don't try to hide anything. So I'll tell them, there's a very good chance that I'm taking this property back. And if that's the case, I'll be selling it. So I'm hoping to be able to use you in the future. Whenever I'm done the foreclosure or whatever it happens to be. If that happens, it may not, but I'm just telling you there's a good chance I'm taking this back. So if you can help me out, now I'll be calling you back in 6 or 8 months or whatever it is.
Yeah. And we do the same thing, right? You listen, we're going to need an agent. I have no agents in your local area. You're my go-to person. If you're able to help me up here, the back end is here.
Yeah.
It's hard to sell that because you may get a reinstatement and you may not use them.
Yep.
Some of the good agents who've done a lot of work for us, we're going to throw them, a gift card. We'll throw them $50.
Yeah.
And say, hey, you know what? Amazing work, man. They got out there quick. They got information quick. Because that's the biggest thing was you're really, and these to me are more important than BPOs itself. I saw the front doors kicked in because they don't write a lot of that stuff on the BPOs.
Not
it's
usually,
very general.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, the agents tell me more than just the value of the property because no one knows value.
Right.
What they actually tell me is what is around me, the property, what is the market conditions, the days of market, what kind of house is selling, what's going on locally for jobs and whatnot. Are people moving in? Are people moving out? Is it a renter area? And what should I expect from this property? We've gotten times where agents have told us that we know the borrowers. Oh, they're a town problem. We've had where like, wow, that's a really nice up and coming area. Or, hey, listen, if that was 3 blocks away, that's golden. Here's the A, B, and C section. So now I kind of have a map and know the fact that, I'm in the C section, but I know that that center area is better for values and I can look out for that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got one actually right now. I'm actually closing on it next week in North Carolina. And the
Mhm.
first time I'm working with this guy, I will for sure go back and see if I can get anything else in the Kernersville area,
Yeah.
because this guy's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I find that the good agents are the ones that are also investors.
Mm.
If they are, if they do their own property investing on the side, whether it's rentals or flips or whatever, if they do any other kind of real estate investing,
Yep.
then they usually are better in that. Well, I'd say almost without exception, they're usually
Gotcha.
better agents because they can understand where I'm coming from. They're not just the guy that's going to throw it up on MLS and be done.
Yeah.
They understand there's more to it. They know
Yeah.
why I'm doing what I'm doing. They get all kind of the background information.
And that thing is, agents can be broker agents or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's limited, and it's like, thank you, but don't thank you.
Yeah.
Don't throw me an AVM and say, well, the average value is this.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell me anything.
No, I need you to lay eyes on the house.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
you, if you can, tell me something about it. Does it look occupied? Was there mail fallen out of the mailbox? Is there,
Yes.
the gutters, are they full of leaves and trash, or are they clear? Like, tell me
Yes.
what's really going on here.
Yeah. The big one is like the mailbox is overflowing. There's newspapers on the driveway. Oh, okay. And we talked yesterday, one of the good ways to tell if a borrower is living in the home or not is where the property tax bill is set.
Yeah.
That's one of the first signs. Like the property tax bill is sent somewhere. Now, if it's not, if it's sent somewhere else, it could be a renter,
Mm-hmm.
but may not be, right?
Yeah.
And kind of thing. So this is our way to kind of hard code our value that, BPOs do a little bit, but really knowing the agent and understand the agent's point of view and, the drive-by, the write-up on it. Now, we're not taking what they say for gold, right? The roof is terrible. Well, that could be a perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
I've
know?
had that where they go through and they're like, oh, wow, it's in pretty rough shape. I'm like, that's totally subjective. If
Yes.
rough shape could mean anything. That could mean that it needs a paint job, or it could mean that there's mold all over the walls. So
Yeah.
rough shape doesn't, I've got over that a long time ago, where they call them and they're like, oh man, I just went through this. It's in pretty bad shape. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And unfortunate people think that way, that, listen, I get the fact and I respect the fact you may be willing to have an opinion of what's going on.
Mhm.
But the problem is just, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if what you think is real is real.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So when you tell me rough shape, meaning what? Meaning the
Yeah.
carpet needs to be replaced, or meaning that there's broken this, that, and holes in the walls, and obviously
Yeah.
the copper's gone and that kind of thing. Like that, I need specifics. Don't just tell me rough shape, because that
I've
doesn't tell me anything.
I've had the rough shape and like, well, I'm in high heels and I'm not walking in a house. That doesn't tell me anything, right?
Right.
It's just tough. We appreciate the fact that, send me pictures.
Yeah.
If you see something, send me a picture of what you think you see
Yeah.
and say, this is what I see. My father was in the military, and one of the things he always says to the air traffic controller is that you never told the pilot what the problem was, right? You always says, it appears that this is what's going on. And say, listen, it appears vacant because of the tree growing outside the front porch in front of the door. Great. Thank you for the information. I'll make the judge if someone's living here or not. Sure. I've seen people live in crap.
Yes.
And it, because it's weird, doesn't make it unlivable.
And
but also
vice versa. Just because it doesn't mean somebody's living there.
Yeah.
So.
Or even worse, if there's hoarders. I mean, not hoarders. There's people that are just squattering in the house.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So that kind of stuff goes crazy. So when you get down to it, when you're valuing the property, we're using our eyeballs on the websites. We're using our understanding of what the agents say it is. And we use the seller's value to a point. I use another metric that most people don't, and I got this from Kimberly years ago, is the tax assessment market value. Not the assessment value, but the market value. So what I found out, so what I found out in the South, It's
Yeah,
it's on more in the south than the north.
that's
So
true.
there's a tax assessment value and a tax assessment market value. So the difference is that when the tax assessor goes out, they value the property at whatever they value at. The assessment value is usually a percentage of that. It could be 100%, it could be 50%. And then they base the taxes off the assessment value.
Yeah.
Well, the tax assessment market value is what they feel the property value is. And they typically value that a couple of years. Sometimes it's annually, sometimes every 3 years, every 10 years. But in the South, there's parts of Texas, Alabama, their numbers are pretty on, which is crazy, but they've been on. So it's another pillar of figuring out the value of the property. And our Portal system, if you look up a property, you actually get the assessment market value, and you can use that as another pillar. Again, when you're making an indicative offer, like we talked yesterday, we're not diving deep into this stuff yet.
No,
Because
not yet.
if I'm going to bid on 100 assets, I'm not going to dive into a property value until I get either counter or accepted. Because you and I know how many hours you can burn to just look at 5 properties and value and really be comfortable on the value of that property.
So that's a good point. So when you first started, how long would you spend looking at property value and try to determine that,
Oh my God.
like on one property?
It was, I would say 10, 12 minutes off property to go and I would review Zillow, I would review like Trulia, I would review Redfin, get their numbers, then I would look at the property itself on the good old fashioned Zillow maps, and kind of get an idea. But it was hard to do because then you get like wild ones like, whoa, what kind of model house is it? And you're like, too much information. At the end, when I was going through and we're burning through assets back in the day with the granite stuff, we were spending, we would probably average probably 25 an hour or so. So it was like 2 minutes an address.
Oh, that's pretty
Get
good.
in, get in, get in, get out. And it was a quick eyeball. When we dove deeper, it's a different story, right? But I would go on Zillow, get an idea, look at the map, get an idea what I see it as. I would filter it by square footages, make sure I'm not looking at crazy numbers, and just quick eyeball. And I can use the URL to kind of filter it quickly because I can just in the URL it does a filter within it. So that's what we would do is we'd filter it down and then move to Redfin was a big one for us. And there's a couple RE off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of it. Real estate RE or something like that. I forget the website. It's in my favorites. But that was another site we can get BPOs from. It was like $25 a pop. So, you know, for us, I go to my first turn is to the agents and my investors, right? So I'd rather turn to one of the, you know, people listening and say, listen, I'm looking for a value in this property. Because typically you can value a property better than a local agent because you're more likely an investor yourself, or you know somebody that can help out. So that local agent and a local investor is often the people that we depend on most to give us the most information and the most confidence in that value.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, all of these things is most of the time, unless they get inside, most of the time it's based on an exterior, you know, opinion. So the times when and we talked about this on a different show, is the times when it doesn't go so good is when I take back a property, we get inside and it's just destroyed. And you know, and I do my best to try to discount. We talked about this yesterday. So I'll get my BPO value. I'll get my best guess on that after talking to the agent, call it 100,000, call it 50,000, doesn't matter. I'll always discount 10% off the top and say, okay, so whatever they say it's worth, I'm taking off 10% just as a buffer. Because, you know, because it's never going to be in top shape. It's never going to be the prettiest house on the block. Just as a general.
Yeah, you know, the only time I would say it doesn't count is when it's a condo, right? Condos are typically much better value.
That's true.
Estimate.
Yeah.
When it's a row home, a little different. But yeah, single family home, we're not going to say it's the best one on the block. And you know, year built come to play, and things like that. We've actually had times where we had an agent go out to a home and the neighbor came out. It was like, hey, what you doing here? And the neighbor tells us all kinds of good stuff about what's going on here.
You get
to the point where, hey, listen, yeah, that person moved to California.
Yeah. 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 You get a lot of story for the neighbors. When I was going around looking at properties myself way back in the day, I would knock on doors of neighbors and just say, hey, what can you tell me about the folks who used to live here and this and that? And just, and they would tell you all kinds of stuff that you never wanted to know. And just, they'll tell you the whole story and then some. But that was really useful information back then. And just kind of getting that. I don't get that very often anymore. Sometimes the realtor will talk to a neighbor, but not usually, not anymore.
Yeah. Oh, it's a tough time. So guys, I wanted to do this quick kind of Friday afternoon video. We did send out a list of 10 bulk asset lists. You can do a loan level bidding on it if you want to. But we did send out about 10 assets for sale that we want to get offers back by Monday on. They're mostly performing. There's 1 second on it, the rest are first. They're not ours. There's someone that's looking for us a broker on. There's no fee for the buyers. It's strictly just send us your offers. So if you haven't received our email, let us know. Nathan, I know that there's stuff going on this year. I'm looking forward to seeing you, having a coffee with you and chatting some more. And we're looking to come on with some new guests in a couple weeks. We're having some internal discussions about who they would be. If there's something particular you want us to talk about, feel free to reach out to us and let us know. But from there on, man, I hope you have a good weekend. Hopefully we don't get any more snow. I know you're expecting a little bit more.
We got it snowing right now, so we'll see how much actually accumulates.
Oh, we had 5-6 inches yesterday again. So
yeah,
the kids are loving and hating at the same time. So, well,
we
guys, I
had snow
appreciate.
day this week, so that was nice.
Oh, we've had snow day. They're in the other room, unfortunately. It's still in school.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to jump on. You can reach out to Nathan and myself. But hopefully we've answered some questions you may have about talking to agents, how to get a hold of them, what questions you should ask them, and how to go about it and how to feel about it, right? What you're trying to get out of them isn't just value. You're trying to get an understanding of the property, the condition, to understand what the agent could do to help you as well, locksmith, stuff like that. You're looking for the complete picture. And you're going to have the stumbling problems where the agent just say, well, I'm not helping you. You know what? If the agent's good enough, throw them some money. We've done it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, gift card, something like that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That
absolutely. Cool. Well, Nathan, I appreciate having you on, my man.
Yeah, you too.
Always a pleasure talking. And we'll catch you again next week. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye.